All right, and we're live. This is the Quick and Dirty, your source of information for dummies in a hurry. I have with me Nicholas Pidiktakis, and I am your host, Joey Laflamme, and I have with me a special guest, Augustus, the fucking cat. There you go.
Hey
I'm
there,
filling
kitty.
him. Yeah, I'm filling him more than Joe Biden is filling little kids, so that's cool. How are you doing, sir?
Uh, I've had a interesting day, but we certainly had that discussion prior to the live stream. But other than that,
Exactly.
I'm just happy that I'm doing something that I like, which is this live stream.
This live stream. Exactly. There you go. And
Yeah.
without any further ado, since it's supposed to be really quick, let's
Yep.
get into it. So,
Yep.
first subject tonight is gonna be, I think, the Caitlyn Jenner that is actually running for being a governor of California. If I'm not wrong, she's running as a Republican.
Yep. So just to state a few brief facts. So there's been a lot of resentment in the state of California with regards to how the Democrats have been running the state for many years since they managed to dethrone the governor himself, Arnold Schwarzenegger. They had
Yes.
a governor named Jerry Brown, and then his lieutenant governor, Gavin Newsom,
Yeah. Another
took
one that
over from
has
him.
issues with fiddling.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
there's
There you go.
certainly that. Some there's like how, for example, Donald Trump would make comments like Sleepy Joe Biden and other nicknames like that.
Yeah.
The nickname that is given to Gavin Newsom is Greasy Newsom, which a
Greasy
lot of
Newsom.
people,
Okay.
especially on the right, so many conservatives and Republicans are using that nickname. Like I see Tommy Lahren using that term all the time. So what happened recently, especially with how the state has been managed, and one fact that needs to be stated very clearly is that the reason why the Democrats are able to get so much done in the state of California is they not only have the governorship, which if for us here in Canada, the governor is comparable to the premier ou le
Premier
premier
Legault.
ministre,
Yeah.
yeah, comme le premier ministre dans Québec ici.
Yeah.
So not only do they have that, but they have not just control of the state legislature, so like the two chambers within the state legislature, but they have super majorities, like over 2/3 of the seats in both chambers.
Yeah.
So the Republican minority is effectively powerless in what they can do. Like they cannot, for example, like the Republicans in either the House chamber or the Senate chamber, whatever they call it, they can't do anything that could stall bills, that could
Mm.
hold bills from being passed. Like federally
Okay,
in
so
Washington
basically, being
D.C.
a Republican in California, it's pretty much the same thing as voting for the Bloc Québécois in Westmount, or
Exactly.
yeah, there you go.
No, exactly. Like they can't, for example, in Washington D.C. at the federal level, like the Republicans, they can filibuster, they can put holds on bills because the Democrats and their hold of the Senate is very tenuous. Like they have 50
Yeah.
Republicans, 50 Democrats. The only way the Democrats have a majority is because Vice President Kamala Harris can break ties according
Exactly.
to her constitutional powers as
Yeah.
the vice president. So, given what is going on with not just the growing debt problem in California,
Yeah.
you have another thing, and this is something that was very interesting, how in California, the amount of red tape and bureaucracy in
Mm-hmm.
that state has blown up.
Yeah. Even
Like,
Bill Maher is complaining about it. Like I think he has a solar panel project, and nothing
yeah,
happens over there.
yeah. Like it took him so long just to get a piece of that solar panel technology installed at his
Yeah.
own home. He famously confronted Adam Schiff, who is the one of the senior Democrats representing a district in California, who's in the Senate, not the Senate, the House Intelligence
Yeah.
Committee, who was confronted of this because Bill Maher rightly said You have people like Elon Musk who who's moving a lot of the Tesla production to Texas. You have, again, because of a lot of the bureaucratic
Mhm.
things and the red tape in the state. Joe Rogan, of course, very famously
Yeah.
moved to Texas, especially when he had his $100 million deal with Spotify. And of course, another famous example is Ben Shapiro and everyone at the Daily Wire, which
Yes.
is a conservative network akin to The Blaze, where folks like Steven Crowder and Dave Rubin are working at right now.
Exactly.
So you had them moving to Nashville, Tennessee, over the last almost year or so, given how bad things have become in California.
So
So
basically, California is just a American version of Quebec.
in essence, yes. And the thing that still sort of helps California out a lot is that they still are, compared to other states, though Texas is certainly catching up a lot,
Yeah.
is the fact that they are the largest and the strongest economy, regardless
Yeah.
of the current public health restrictions and the overly bureaucratic nature of the state.
Yeah.
But
Also, in terms of demography, they're the most populous states.
yeah,
Like basically, if you look a map of a federal election for the presidency, you can see like California itself, it's just 55
yeah, 55
voters.
electoral
Yeah.
votes. They
Yeah.
have the most amount of electoral votes, which, if you think
ML.
of the Hey, Agapimu, how are you? So what happened is that in the United States, there is a tradition where in certain states, depending on where you live,
Yeah.
they have the ability to what is called to recall their elected officials. If, let's say, a set number of people with of course the signatures and addresses properly confirmed, if they reach a certain threshold, you're able to do a recall election, which forces that person, either, the governor Gavin Newsom or
Yeah.
an elected official in the state legislature or somewhere else. Like I even think, to an extent, members of the federal Congress, like the federal House and the federal Senate, could be recalled, though that could certainly be confirmed at a later date. So a lot of Republicans and a lot of independents and even disaffected Democrats who are questioning why the state is going the way it has
Yeah.
have launched a petition to recall Governor Newsom, and that
Bullshit.
petition reached the required signature count.
So they basically have to go into an election now.
Yeah,
And
they are
hence,
forced.
we're in a situation where we are, where Caitlyn Jenner is running for the Republican. So,
Yeah.
what platform she's running on?
Well, to state that, I understand that first, she is running under the Republican Party
Yes.
banner, because I think she has made it clear that she has had some conservative, like right of center opinions on certain issues, though certainly
Yeah.
she, of course, is more open minded. I mean, in order to be successful in California, you do need to have somewhat of a center left position on a few things, but
Yes.
certainly there are things that she would like to work on, and I think a lot of people would like to see work on, like reducing a lot of the red tape happening in Texas. You have a lot of people who are saying, let's stop being so bureaucratic and just let people work. Like,
Yeah.
one of the chief things that is happening in California that is alarming people, and this is like certainly a wake-up call for us here in Montreal, given what, for example, like rising rents in Montreal,
Oh,
is
yeah.
just how insanely expensive housing has become, both to buy a house
Yeah.
or to just rent an apartment. Like, San Francisco and Los Angeles are two of the most expensive places to live in on this
Without
world, and this is
without
largely a
counting
result.
San Jose, though. San Jose is fucking nuts because it's basically Silicon Valley.
Yeah, San
Yeah.
Jose, Cupertino, where where the new Apple headquarters is. The fact that you have many of these tech companies coming in, offering like very, very lucrative
Yeah.
salaries and benefits, like health and dental and other things like stock options, that will have the indirect result of raising home prices and rents, and as a result, you're seeing a very depressing image where you're seeing a lot of homeless camps being
Yeah.
set up in Los Angeles and San Francisco, and there's a lack of will to confront just the overheated housing market and rental prices. And also, given that California is very much like a good vibes state, so
Mm.
you're not encouraged, like there's a lack of will or lack of courage to confront such good vibes in terms of like I say
Mm.
this is an actual issue we need to deal with. I don't care about your good vibes. We need to take care of this shit now.
So they
So
don't take shit too
yeah.
seriously because they're always like on that good vibe and party vibe,
Hmm.
right? Okay,
Hmm.
so basically, apart like from the housing thing, the housing issues in California, what would explain like in LA, for example, you have so many homeless?
Again, the rising house prices,
Yeah,
rising rents, of course, the cost of living in general, in terms of like buying food and other
yeah,
basic
no shit.
necessities have gone up because again, everything has become so bureaucratic, everything has become overly regulated
Yeah,
as a result of it, and again, um, the fact that California still to this day plays host to many of the big tech companies who are the major employers of the state, so those are just some of the factors as to why California has become so has effectively been in the state that it is. Like before it elected Republicans, like it
yeah,
had Arnold Schwarzenegger, the governor, at one point Ronald Reagan
yeah.
before
Ronald,
he
that,
became.
that's the last time they ever voted on a federal level for for a Republican.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. When he was governor and when he ran for president in 1980 and in 1984.
So that's
So
not exactly impossible that a Republican will ever win, considering that Kathleen Jenner herself, from what I make a quick research, but from what I understood, she's somehow of a fiscal conservative, but on the social issues like abortion, I would guess, and that kind of stuff, she's more liberal, right?
yeah, so she certainly is a very unique figure in that she is
In
one of the
so many
first.
ways.
Yeah, formerly Bruce Jenner.
Yeah,
Though certain like Caitlyn Jenner certainly would break a lot of barriers as being one of the first openly trans individuals to seek high office like that. Certainly, she brings a lot of her star power with her association with the Jenner and Kardashian family, given some of her previous positions, and of course the fact that she was rather successful when she was Bruce Jenner.
mm,
Her success in sports, like I know that Bruce Jenner had a lot of success in gaining the gold. I think Bruce was here in the Olympics in Montreal in 1976, and
yes.
certainly Caitlyn Jenner made some waves in terms of her comment about trans athletes, like trans women, like they should not be accepted into biological women's sports. So, like
Are
certainly
you
that is
telling
going.
me that a guy that switched to be a woman should not be able to beat the shit out of other biological woman?
Absolutely not. I mean,
I mean,
simple biological differences
yo, you should watch an
have
old
to.
Fallon Fox fight just to see how uneasy all this
Yeah,
thing is. Oh yeah,
yeah,
you see, just the mere fact that the woman she's blocking, she's just like taking some step backs.
yeah.
It's fucking
That's
crazy.
that. It's legitimately scary to think of
Yeah.
that thought.
And
Now,
usually they will say Ashley Evans Smith beat Fallon Fox, but that's just a testament of how bad fucking Fox was actually.
yeah.
Yeah, she was that bad.
Though to say this again, I completely understand this necessity and the desire for inclusion, especially
Yeah.
when you're young and you want to be involved in something that provides purpose, such as sports. The fact that you're in a team, you're working in a team, but we can't ignore simple biological realities either. So this is certainly a conversation that people who are within the sports world and within human biological sciences, like there needs
Yeah.
to be an in-depth conversation about this and some sort of like idea that is accepted by all, because
Hmm.
we're seeing a considerable deal of polarization on this. Again, I am personally sympathetic to the plight and the lack and like this discrimination that folks within the LGBT community have
Hmm.
faced. It's just we at the same time cannot ignore biological realities. So it's like we have to play this very delicate balancing act, and this is again where people need to abandon their more ideological positions.
Yeah.
Folks
Just
on
a
the
quick
far,
question. Did you saw our
yeah,
ad campaign? Like the first ad that
yeah.
I don't think it's the first ad, but like the ad that just went out. It's pretty interesting. Like I had not a lot of expectation about her, but when I saw that, I'm like, yeah, she might have a shot. She really well spoken.
From
She's charismatic. I can see her win some debates.
She certainly is recruiting people who ran, for example, I think past Trump campaigns, both at the
Yeah,
primary and general election level, and other Republican operatives to her team. And again, the fact that Caitlyn Jenner is one of the most famous trans individuals in the United States, and
woman
again,
of the
her
year.
Woman of the Year,
Yeah,
as well
exactly.
as again the fact that when she was Bruce Jenner back in the
Yeah.
day, won gold medals, and the Kardashian Family Association. All of that will help Caitlyn Jenner a lot
Oh yeah, for sure.
in
For
the
the
future.
because most people are not ideological. Like they just goes with the people they know, and like Caitlyn Jenner, obviously they see her on a ballot, and they're gonna be like, okay, I know her. They're check
Yeah.
mark. It's sad, but a lot of fucking people are voting like that.
Well, the same thing could be said about how a lot of people voted for Justin
Justin Trudeau.
Trudeau
Yeah, exactly.
because,
Donald Trump.
yeah, Donald
Yeah.
Trump.
How many people that just voted for him just because of The Apprentice?
Yeah, I
Sad
know.
to say, but it's true. Like people
I know.
goes with what they know. So on a still pretty depressing subject, there's the NCI that basically said put some warning about the AstraZeneca and Johnson and Johnson. They stated that for older folks, it is preferable to go with whatever vaccine you have because although AstraZeneca has complication associated with it,
Mhm.
the complication from the viruses far outweigh the risk of complication of the vaccine. But if you are under 30 years old, or I would guess more something like around like our age
Yeah,
actually,
yeah.
uh,
38, 32. Yeah,
exactly. Like it might the complication from the vaccine outweigh the risk for us of the complication of the vaccine. So
yeah.
yeah. So basically they were saying that, and you had a public health group like from the federal
Like
Arula.
Dr. Teresa Tam and
Yeah.
other folks from. Yeah, yeah. No, I understand where you're coming from. To
Yeah,
say this,
they said like they criticized it, saying you shouldn't go for a preferable vaccine, just take whatever, right?
okay. So again, this is one of the reasons why I sort of like myself in a way, in that
Mm.
I'm able to see both sides of the issue. Obviously, again, any protection against the coronavirus, such as, again, social distancing, wearing your masks, a consistent regime of washing your hands with hot soap and water or hand sanitizer,
Yeah,
taking your vitamin C with zinc and vitamin D specifically,
sun
in
exposition.
conjunction, yeah,
Yeah,
as well as getting the vaccine, is preferable to getting it yourself.
yeah,
Now, it is perfectly like, I think what that group NACI did, like, people need to know. People are expected, they need, they are like, you should inform them of both the benefits and the consequences of anything health or medical wise, because you're putting something in their bodies, like they are like you can't, like, again, like, I understand, for example, there's this conversation about mandatory vaccination, or the vaccine passports. Like, to an extent, I can understand where, the normal population like myself or you, it should be our choice, and
yeah.
certainly I'm going to get the vaccine when it is my
And
turn.
better give us the information
Yeah,
because it's not up to them to decide what information I need. You should be fully transparent and make me take my
exactly.
decision. Just to add to their point, like they were in the article from the National Post. I took that
Of
last
course.
month. Risk modeling out of the University of Cambridge found that based on daily COVID-19 case rate of 2 per 10,000, which is almost exactly on par with Canada case rate among people with their 20s, the AstraZeneca vaccine will prevent zero point 0.8 ICU admission for every 1.1 blood
Yeah.
clots it causes. So basically, the vaccine is more likely for 20 years old to get you blood clot than actually preventing you from going to the ICU.
So, yeah. Now, we have to understand in perspective that,
Exactly.
for example, women who take birth control pills are far more likely to develop blood clots as a symptom or as a side effect
Yeah.
from using birth control over the very very minute likelihood that they will develop blood clots if they take the AstraZeneca vaccine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we need to put that into perspective.
Exactly. But also, like the
Yeah.
point there is like if you have less chance in a certain group of age, like you're 20 years old, right?
Hmm.
According to that, you have that will prevent like 0.8 people going to the ICU than like in like compared to the 1.1 blood clots
Hmm.
cost you will have. So basically, like in this particular case, I'm not saying it's all over the board, it's supposed to be that way, but in that particular case, if you're younger and the virus is not recognized to do much to you,
Hmm.
the NACI are recommended that you recommend just to wait that you have the Pfizer and Moderna.
Hmm.
If you're old, though, that's another thing they say. If you're old, you should take whatever you have because if you
Yeah.
cannot take any chance with the virus.
No, no, of course. No,
Yeah,
no. I think they did a good. I think sincerely they did a good job when they had all of those unused AstraZeneca doses, and they got a lot of people for like between 40 and 60. Like I saw
yeah,
like many of the photos of, let's say, I think like Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, Sophie Gregoire
Grégoire, yeah,
Trudeau, Valérie Plante, and a few other individuals showing that they're getting the AstraZeneca vaccine. Like I think that was a very good campaign on their part to get
yeah,
people to get those doses. So for me personally, and I say this for me personally, I would rather wait to get the Pfizer biotech vaccine because again, there aren't any associated side effects like the blood
yeah,
clots, which again, it legitimately scares me.
yeah,
I'm not gonna deny that, and of course, I'm also personally intrigued by how the Pfizer biotech and the Moderna vaccines have that new experimental technology associated with it. Like I'm very intrigued by it. It's like a new medical. It's like a relatively new medical advancement that maybe could be considered for other issues. So I'm
yeah.
just
From what I understood, that method, if I understand it as well, it's basically like the COVID-19 is surrounded by some sort of protein that your white cells cannot break down, right?
I think so.
Yeah. So the idea of the what you're talking about is just to inject something like that in your body, so
Yeah.
your white cells can break it down. So when it come across an actual COVID-19, it can break down the protein, the shell protecting the virus, and then break down the virus itself.
Yeah. Well, certainly, I would recommend anyone who's watching, if they want to understand the new delivery system a lot better,
Yeah.
I would recommend watching on the YouTube channel ASAP Science. They did a
Yes.
really, really good short video describing the new injection method. So I would really recommend that they do so. And perhaps, while if you want to just talk for a second, I'm going to go find this video right now. Hold on.
Cool.
ASAP.
Yeah. Also, you can go do a quick Google search. Just a quick thing though. Don't just click any fucking link and they'll try to explain to you what it is because there's a lot of stupid shit that has been said about that thing. Some people say that you rewrite your DNA, which it's not exactly what's happening on there. It's just it's just basically a patch. It's just like they give you that shell that protect the virus, and then the information how to break it down. It goes into your DNA, or you remember that. But
Hmm.
no, it doesn't rewrite your old DNA. You won't like become a fucking man monkey all of a sudden just because you took the vaccine. It's just plain
Hmm.
silly.
Hmm.
I'm not sure I can play any sound, and the idea of playing a video on a live, or yeah,
I
okay,
know. No,
yeah,
no. What you could do perhaps is you could maybe just post the link in the
oh yeah,
comments,
oh yeah, sure.
and
I'm going
people
to do that right
and
away.
the people themselves can, like, to say this, like I personally like and like I really do enjoy watching their videos on a whole host of things. So
Yeah,
I would personally put my faith into how they explain everything. Like they
yeah,
do
yeah.
explain everything in terms of for those who haven't had the science or biology education in CEGEP and in universities. So these are guys that you can trust to properly explain the situation. So yeah,
Yeah. So basically, the point is, I know that I've been telling you on other podcasts, get your ass vaccinated no matter what.
yeah,
But in the light of the new informations and like the risk assessment that has been done in Cambridge, I would say if you're around 30 and lower, you're more likely to get the complication from the vaccine than to get the complication from the virus. So just fucking wait on it. Be prudent. Don't be assholes.
yeah.
And there you go. But I know that some people would say, "Hey, there's that kid that got COVID-19 and he almost died of it or whatever." But that kind of shit doesn't happen that often. So again, those are
Mhm.
risk assessment. All right, that's
Yeah,
not true for the whole
yeah.
population. It won't be.
Any,
Yeah,
yeah,
it won't be true for John Doe, right? Or
yeah,
fucking Miss X.
yeah,
It's true for the population.
yeah. Any
There you go.
protection is better than no protection whatsoever, folks. So
There you go.
just if I could just say this, and this is something that my dad certainly has told me, with, for example, when I have always avoided going to the dentist because of either cost or just not having the time. An ounce of prevention will prevent a pound of cure in the future.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, on another topic, we can go on the municipal level.
Yeah,
I think we wanted to talk about it like not next last week, but the week before that.
yeah,
And we spent way too much time on the budget in the two last weeks. So,
it's fine.
I think you want to talk about Denis Coderre being officially in Montreal race for being a mayor.
Yeah, so just to briefly discuss this, and I guess I'd need to say this right off the offset for full disclosure. In the
Go on.
2017 elections, I actually volunteered for Équipe Denis Coderre
Oh, really?
in my borough of Ahuntsic-Cartierville, primarily because the candidate, like the person who decided to run to become borough mayor, I had only the greatest level of respect for. It's a guy named Harut Tillian, who was
Okay.
responsible, for example, for like Le Ville Intelligente initiative. So, like for example, we all have the smartphone app that tells us when your street is going to get cleared for snow. Well, that specific
Ah.
candidate was responsible for it, or
IoT
finding.
stuff, like Internet of Things stuff.
Yeah, like he was really
Yeah.
good. Like he was a software engineer. So
Yeah.
like I volunteered for that because the guy did a lot of good for the city and did a lot of good for my borough, and also helped me out on one noise complaint from a factory right next to my house. So just for full disclosure, now what the thing that I wanted to bring up that cause maybe some minor waves here in Montreal is in Ahuntsic-Cartierville, in the borough, in the representing the area called Saint Sulpice, which is
Yeah.
where you have like parts of Marché Central, the Chabanel like manufacturing district, like where Pantelis, for example, has his studio at, and also next to like the Chabanel Exo Station.
Mm-hmm.
That area is represented by a young representative by the name of Adrien Parizeau,
Okay.
with an actual relation to the elder Parizeau, who was the Quebec premier during the
Ah,
1995
interesting.
Quebec referendum.
Yeah.
Hadrien, like his grandfather, has of course separatist
Sympathy.
sympathy, but regardless of the fact, Équipe Denis Coderre made the decision, and a pretty good decision, to include many folks who were in the Federalist camp and a few who were in the separatist
Are you
camp.
are you
Yeah,
telling me that for being a mayor, being separatist or not, nobody gives a shit?
as long as you're able to effectively represent the constituents of your borough and are able to advocate for their interests in terms of like casework, getting like helping with permits and property taxes and a whole host of other things, then there shouldn't be an issue. I mean, there
All right,
are.
so we'll give the memo to Gilles Proulx and Mathieu Bocoté because those two retards doesn't seem to be aware of that. No, those two
Yeah,
motherfuckers, they were like losing their shit because Denis Coderre was mayor of Montreal for a short while. And they were like, oh my God, this is the triumvirate infernal because you had Denis Coderre and fucking, what is his
Philippe
name? Was
Couillard,
Yeah,
and
there you go.
also
And Justin
yeah,
Trudeau. And they were basically losing their shit. But what those two fuckheads didn't know back then is there's separatists in the fucking Denis Coderre team. Like
Yep.
nobody gives a flying
Like,
fuck about
yep.
separatist or federalist sentiment of a fucking mayor. At the end of the day, they're just taking care of the fucking clean water, the road, the
Yep.
trashes.
The trash, compost, clean water. As well, they deal with the cleaning of the streets for the snow, local infrastructure projects, local permitting,
Yeah.
property taxes, and the transfer of deeds. So like a lot of things are done at the municipal level. Like maybe one day I'll decide to run
That's
here in
basically the most
Ahuntsic.
important layer
Yeah,
of politics because
yeah,
that's the closest shit you have to you. Like
yeah,
the difference between having clean water and brown shitty water coming out of your
yeah,
tap. It's basically mayor that make that difference.
yeah. So to get back to what I wanted to say, a little bit after the election in 2017, which saw Valérie Plante and Projet Boreal displace Équipe de Nicodère in the majority in the city
Yes.
council. Hadrien Parizeau made the decision to sort of disassociate himself with Équipe de Nicodère.
What happened?
I'm not 100% certain as to why specifically, like maybe some internal politics. Again, I don't want to comment on things that I don't know
Okay, there you go.
specifically. I never wish to do that. Again, I want to have some semblance of editorial and journalistic standards here on the show. He made the decision to leave Équipe de Nicodère.
Credibility. In terms of credibility, I must remind you, I started the show with a pedophile joke. So
I know, I know, but
oh.
I know. It's just for me personally.
All right.
I like to have some standards from me personally. So
And
what
I don't,
happened?
so we're fine.
I know. So what happened was after he left the party, he was asked to sit on the executive committee with Valérie Plante herself. So like the executive committee is basically the cabinet
Yeah.
of the city government. And I think for a majority of the time, like he sat on the executive committee as an independent, not making the decision to formally join Projet Marial. But
Okay.
then very recently, when Denis Coderre made the decision to finally re-enter the political scene and to rejoin his party, now called Ensemble Montreal,
Yeah.
Hadrien Parizeau made the decision to rejoin the party, which I found very interesting. I
Indeed.
guess partly because out of maybe a personal loyalty to Denis Coderre for giving him the opportunity to be a candidate in the first place. For me personally, it's good
Yeah.
that is happening because for me personally, I don't have much respect for the Projet Marial administration here in Ahuntsic
They're fucking
Cartierville.
nuts.
I gave them a chance to do what they do, but again, I'm not exactly the most satisfied with them. Though again, full disclosure, I volunteered for the other side. So the fact that Hadrien Parizeau will come back to the fold, that gives us a potential edge. We just need to flip one other seat, like maybe Soto Ricolette out in the east, where Papineau Boulevard and Ile de la Visitation is, or flipping the borough mayor itself, and then Ensemble Montreal will be able to assume control of the borough away from Projet Montréal. So for me, I personally am hopeful. I'm certainly going to volunteer.
That's pretty much the only reason I'm gonna vote, basically, like to kick Valérie Plante out and keep the Plateau Mont-Royal, the most mismanaged neighborhood in Montreal, to run the fucking city.
Yeah.
Like those fucking, you have to understand. Projet Montréal is basically the party of the neighborhood of the assholes.
Yeah.
Plateau Mont-Royal.
Yep.
Like they're a bunch of they represent a bunch of fucking dipshits.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why you have bike lanes everywhere and nothing seems to make sense because on that fucking place nothing makes sense and they just extend everything to the rest of the fucking city.
Yep.
Because they are not content enough just being imbeciles in their little corner. No. They have to spread their stupidity to everybody else.
Yep. I'm not liking the fact that there are many bike paths here in my area of Ahuntsic Cartierville. Like there's just so like you cannot apply something that maybe has worked in the Plateau Mont-Royal area, given how the streets are built.
Yeah.
You can't apply such an urban thing to what could be considered suburbs, like boroughs that are suburbs, like Ahuntsic Cartierville, like Ville Saint Laurent, like Pierrefonds, Rock. Like what happened, for example, like I remember when they were building the REM system out in the West Island, like the borough mayor of Roxborough, Dollard, Demetrios Jim Base, was like, no, you cannot. Why is the REM and the city not building parking at one of the stations that my borough? I think it's the station at Kirkland or another station that wasn't getting
Yeah,
any
it's against the
parking.
ideology. That's why they don't like cars. They want everybody on fucking bikes, even though we have like fucking 7 months of winters.
Like, let me just say this, and this is a point where, like, again, I found, like, I remember, for example, when Sugar Sammy came on to Pantelis's podcast,
Yeah,
he made a very, very good point about the issue of public transit that I think should be said. Because you know that Sugar Sammy, for some time during the year, like, he lives in Paris, France.
yeah,
Their
poor him.
public transit, like,
You have all my
their
sympathy.
I know. But anyways, he said that in Paris, France, the public transit system is built to a point where it incentivizes you to leave the car at home because every 5 minutes a bus is coming. Every 5-10 minutes you have a train, like a metro, that is coming. We need, if you want people to use public transit, which for me personally, I don't mind using it, you need to make sure that buses are passing by frequently. You have to make
Yeah,
sure the metros are passing by frequently without all of the network outages. You need to, for example, and this is another point that has been made, like, I'm lucky enough to live next to one of the train stations on
yeah.
the Saint Jerome Lucien Lallier line. Like, I wish that train would pass by once every 20, 30 minutes, every hour on the hour, so that I could go downtown. If, let's say, I potentially want to get a job, if I want to get another job
Mm.
somewhere downtown close to Lucien Lallier, like, if the train were passing once every 20, 30 minutes, every hour on the hour, both going downtown and coming back home, and the same thing is applied on the weekends as well, because my line is not active on the weekends. And another thing that needs to be resolved is the fact that, for example, I'm downtown. If, let's say,
Mhm.
I wanted to, from downtown, go to, my station at Bois de Boulogne. That's the station that I have to get off at. The ticket is 5.75. While
What?
if I wanted to get a ticket to go to Park Station or even to Chabanel, I pay $5. Like, the pricing and ticketing system that we have in Montreal
Oh,
and
it's
by
archaic.
extension Laval,
Fucking archaic.
like Longueuil, it's absolutely Byzantine. It is unnecessarily complicated. Like, have one price, like one public monthly pass
Yeah, it's
for,
DSTM all across the board. Why it's $5 in your corner of the city, and in mine it's fucking 350.
like, it doesn't,
Fucking
like
crazy.
one public pass that accesses everything. So bus, metro, and the trains for
Yeah,
the entire island of Montreal, with no consideration as to, oh, you're in Dorval or Mont Royal. No, the entire island. You increase it slightly to, let's say, 100, like, $100 a month gets you access to everything across the
mm,
entire island of Montreal. The same thing, you pay like $110, $120 to further gain access to everything in Laval. Then you maybe
yeah,
pay a little extra if you want to gain access to everything on the North Shore and, let's
yeah.
say, Longueuil. That would make more sense, and I would get more I would get more bang for my buck. But the way that the transit system and the pricing and the ticketing makes sense, like, why should I, as a Montrealer, if let's say I'm going to Laval, so let's say I want to go to Carrefour Laval to buy something
Yeah.
at a store, why is it that I need to pay 350 or 325, whatever the price is, when I'm back at, like, at Montmorency or De La Concorde or Cartier? Why do I have to pay that if it's an STM station? These weird jurisdictions and all that makes no sense, and that's something that I would sincerely challenge both Denis Coderre and Valérie Plante, especially, who was all about public transit. I understand
Oh,
that.
she doesn't give a shit about that. She
You
won't fucking
need
bike lane because look, those fucking public transportation, the buses, those fucking thing, they don't float in the air. They use the fucking road. If you fuck up the road system in across all Montreal for with dumb ideas like
Yeah,
bike lane taking off, like making a street thinner with
yeah,
reflection
that
and stuff, that's not good for public transportation either because they use the same fucking road.
they also, another thing, our emergency services, like firefighters, have said,
Oh.
why are we even having the narrow entryways into the street?
No,
Like,
it's not.
that prevents us
Yeah,
emergency services from accessing people
yeah.
in need.
Like all
So
those
it's like,
crazy ideas from the Plateau Montreal, they were funny when it was just like putting beehive on the fucking rooftop of over expensive condos.
Yeah.
Like that was funny when these doofuses were like buying fucking chickens to raise them in their fucking one and a half overpriced one and a half and poorly isolated in the middle of
Yeah.
Plateau Montreal. That was
Yeah.
fucking hilarious. Now it's not funny anymore because exactly like you said, when you fuck up the roads, you have the
Emergency
urgency
services.
Yeah, you have the bus. Also, all the shit you're eating, they don't grow in Montreal. Nothing fucking grow in Montreal. Let me tell you that much. It's a fucking city. It's disgusting. Nothing grow in Montreal. You have to make them
Um,
come by the bridge, by the roads, the shit. They don't come like by helicopters
there
and shit. They still need to get whatever they need to be.
there is, I would sincerely fact check you on that, in that
Yeah, go
there
on.
are services that cater to that. Like, for example, Lufa Farms, which I've
Yeah, I do
used.
that.
They sort of help with like the rooftop growing and all that, and All Power, like we need more of that so that we
Yeah,
have
yeah.
a greater
I'm
food
not.
supply,
I'm not
reduced price.
shitting on that.
I
I'm
know,
not
I know,
shitting on that.
I
But
know, I know.
honestly, those ideas are kind of funny and weird, but that works in some situation. I use Lufa, right?
Hmm.
Like what the point I was making is like all this
No,
shit are
I
funny
understand. I
until you
understand.
apply it to serious shit.
Mhm. No, I understand. No, I understand.
Like they have to realize it's a fucking city. It's a metropolis.
I know.
You have a lot of cars. You have a lot. You need roads.
I know.
It's not just for a fucking Longueuil suburbite like you fucking hate. No. It's also like for fucking firemen to be able to fucking extinguish fires, or for your cops to give their fucking tickets that you need for making money on the city.
Hmm.
Anyways, you have anything to add on this?
Nothing at this point, though. Certainly, with the municipal elections coming up very soon by this November,
Yeah.
certainly we're going to perhaps focus more on this. So, yeah,
Okay.
we'll talk more about the municipal issues when they come, and certainly when, for example, we have a potential federal election, if it happens or not. We're
Yeah.
certainly going to discuss that more in detail when those times come. So I think we did
Oh,
yeah.
yo, we forgot to talk about the Bill C10 that they're backing down, and now they're going to add the clause that the internet content is not going to be monitored by the government anymore.
Um, I think it would be best, Joey, if we discuss that in the future live
Ex-
stream so that we can.
exactly. I just said we forgot about it.
Yeah.
I'm
No,
expecting
no,
you
I
like to
understand.
go in deep analysis.
No,
All
no.
right. So, all right. Where can we find you?
You can all find me on Instagram, Captain YOLO562, all in small letters. I'm thinking maybe of doing my next stream this Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I couldn't do it last Saturday because I had some personal issues that I was dealing with, though now things are back on track. So this Saturday, I will be discussing the first, I would say, 2 episodes of the new show called The Bad Batch on Disney Plus, which is effectively the 8th season of the Clone Wars cartoon that we all saw gloriously end last May the 4th last year. So certainly I'm going to talk about that and maybe talk about other things. And again, I hope that by my next appearance, I will have my first ever guest that I will interview one-on-one. So there's that that is happening right now.
You're late, Raul. Fuck off. No, I'm kidding. So, for you, the rest of you guys, yeah, he's angry. Fuck off, or no, I'm kidding. No, I like you, Raul. Basically, if you are on YouTube, don't forget to share, subscribe, and comment, so I don't get sick and tired of doing this.
Yep.
Also on Saturday, I'm receiving Chris Dogger for the Saturday afternoon podcast. It's at 2:30 p.m. And this Sunday, we're receiving Daniel Grinnell, American comic. So, pretty cool week coming up. And that's pretty much it. So, for all of you folks, be safe. Take whatever the fuck vaccine is safer for you. And thank you. Fuck you. Bye.